the United States, throughout cities and towns, and in schools throughout the nation, there's a problem that for many has been under the radar, affecting thousands of young people until now. In Oregon alone, it's estimated there are more than 18,000 homeless teens. In Jackson County, the number amounts to more than 1,100.
Prior to Hearts with the Mission, I was in the automobile industry for about 25 years. And although it provided very well for myself and my family, I think I probably knew God wanted more out of me. You know, I've been doing pretty much what I wanted to do my whole life, and it was like I want to be used in a way that He wants to use me. And it was just through reading a newspaper article about the number of homeless youth that we have in Jackson County that I think initially it was just to help get a shelter built so there would be a place where really a kid could knock on a door and say, I need a safe place regardless of where they're coming from, that there'd be people on the other side of the door that would care about them and love them and help them kind of navigate through the muddy waters of life. Anytime you get caught up in systems or you don't know where to turn, there should always be somebody there that says, I'll help you and I'll help walk through it.
So at the time, I was in the process of finally speaking out about being sexually abused when I was 11. And so it just became too overwhelming for me to balance like my social life, my school life, and working as well.
There were times my mom was unfit and my dad was in and out of jail. There was a lot of drug activity, so when I was in high school I ended up experimenting with different drugs and drinking, and I ended up going to rehab, and then when I got out of rehab I got pregnant with Dayton. When Dayton was 17 months old, I guess that it was just too much for me. So then I started using, and then DHS got involved, and they basically said if you don't get clean you're going to lose your kid. And then I've been clean ever since, and then that's when I got introduced to Safe Families and Hearts with a Mission, and I got placed with Chuck and Kelly.
My family life kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And I just kept, self-medicating and, getting into worse and worse substances to the point where, I was 17, and at that point I was completely just numb to the world, I remember sitting in the back of the cop car at 17 years old, just wishing I could die, just wishing that things could get easy. And my dad he didn't know where to turn. He had no idea. He told the cops, he's like, I don't know what to do with my son.
Well, I didn't have the easiest childhood. I grew up in an emotionally abusive household. The most challenging time was when my stepdad committed suicide. After that point, things were bad, but then things were ruined. We lost our house. My mom started using substances to cope with the loss. We weren't paying bills. We started losing things. I wasn't able to go to school. We were bouncing from one bad rental to another bad rental. And then I ran away from my mom and I just started staying with friends. I spent a couple of nights in a park. I slept at the bus stop one night. I went to Walmart and I stole cans of ravioli and I got caught. And I was apprehended by a police officer, but when he searched my bag, he found food and not makeup or clothes like a lot of girls get caught stealing at Walmart. And he knew that I needed help. I didn't need to go to juvie. So he took me to Hearts with a Mission.
It was like a living nightmare. I think the first memory I have is my dad pointing a gun to my mom, and then me making a noise that distracted him, which gave her room to fight back and defend herself. And then days after that, it was just losing him in front of our house. and having my mom be arrested by the police because they believed that she had killed him. So even though I was 6 years old, I remember going into foster care and having my 2 siblings with me. And I also remember that once my mom was out of jail, she just didn't want us back, so we had to go with different family members. And that wasn't pleasant either. In my case, I didn't have any parent around me, so I was the vulnerable one. I was the one that you could do things to, because no parent will ever come to you and be like, do not hurt this kid. So it happened, multiple family members in different ways.
That experience that I longed for, of the testimonies that I would hear from people, I feel like that's where mine started, and like my new beginning started. Because at that moment, when I lived at Hearts, I think it was the first time that I recognized that I needed God, and that He was the only solution. It was like my safe place. That to me made a big difference in my life. I'm expecting that the future years will be great because now I have all like the right skills and people that I know I can reach out to.
But they just encouraged me, and I'd never really nobody cared to keep pushing me. Like, if you get stumped, they're like, yeah, give up, forget it, you don't need to do it. And then, so I never did. I never pushed myself to do anything better because nobody else did. But Chuck and Kelly were like, you can do this. Like, you've got this. And so I kept trying, and things got better and better. And now I live right next door, actually. I ended up buying a house. And so I'm like 3 houses down from them, and they are my family. And Chuck, like the whole family, we're all just family now. It's not like almost adopted or anything weird like that. Like, we're family.
You know, it was a long road from, you know, when I first came to Hearts from when I left. But like I said, the one thing that was obvious was that something needed to change, and I was told I'm the only person who could do it, but I couldn't do it alone. It was because of all the things that I learned in the shelter which kept me going strong, you know. And now, 6 years later, I'm still clean and sober and, you know, working on my degree and have this great job and a great family and great relationships with people, and I found my calling because of Hearts for the Mission.
Psalms 27:10. For my father and my mother have forsaken me, but the Lord will take me in. My parents sucked. But as I grew older and I learned who Jesus was, I didn't need them. Because I had Him, and He was enough, and He took care of me, and He told me everything I wanted to hear from them. Now, as a very young adult in a very hard world, I don't think I would have relied on God if I didn't have Hearts showing me what it really was. Because they took me to church and they showed me what genuine love was, without any repercussions, without any performance, without any need to give back. And that's really what Christianity looks like. It's just an unyielding love. And that's something that Hearts showed me. And I don't think I would know what that was if I didn't have them.
My goal is to be that adult figure I needed for somebody else. My goal is to work in law enforcement, probably at a federal level, make everything possible to keep Hearts running, adopt kids out of foster care, and one day, hopefully, work or open a home for kids that nobody else wants.
for me, thinking that I would just get the shelter built and then go back to doing what I did before, I mean, there was no comparison, you know, to be able to invest yourself, something that's bigger than you, into another person, to provide hope, to have kids tell you that, you know, you saved my life. I don't know how there's any other compensation, you know, that would be equal in value. And I think the thing that was really surprising to me is that these are just normal kids. It could be my son, it could be my daughter. You know, they're just normal kids. They have really abnormal situations. And I never realized that it'd be as bad as it is. You know, that there would be as much abuse, drug addictions that are going on inside of families, and how easy it is for parents to, you know, just walk away from your kids and let somebody else be responsible for them. Yet that's the reality of the world, you know, that we live in. You know, I think my prayer would be a Hearts with a Mission is needed in every community. I think every community should have a safe place, whether it's called Hearts with a Mission, doesn't matter. You know, a place where kids can go. You know, we've had quite a few kids come and live with us, and they haven't always been great outcomes. Yet, I'm doing this because God's called me to do it. And I can't make it my plan for them. God has a plan for all their lives. And all He's asking me to do is love them, you know, and tell them where the real hope is. And so far it's working.
Thumbs up.